Introducing Royal Caribbean's newest ship, Icon of the Seas, the ultimate family vacation. The ultimate 6 slides, 8 neighborhoods, 0 compromise vacation. The ultimate never done that, can't wait to do it vacation. The ultimate chillin' by a different pool every day of the week vacation. This is the Icon of Vacations. Icon of the Seas, arriving in 2024. Book today. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
Hockey fans, are you ready to brave the wild with me, your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan? Brave the Wild is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, PodMN, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Audible, Stitcher, and Double Twist. It is a great pleasure to be on board with you once again today. And the Minnesota Wild continued their winning streak and finished 3-0 during the course of this past week. So the strong play and the winning streak continues. The Minnesota Wild continue to be able to match the teams, match their every move, so to speak. No matter what happens, situations where you blow a 3-goal lead, you still find a way to win against the Toronto Maple Leafs, who were one of the few teams in the NHL with a better record. We'll get to about the record here in a second. And then you get past Edmonton Oilers in Edmonton in very impressive fashion. Cam Talbot was absolutely ridiculous. And the Minnesota Wild stopped every power play by Edmonton, the number one power play in the National Hockey League. We'll get back to that in a second as well. Absolutely crazy how this team just seems to find a way to win one way or another. It's a different hero every night, so to speak, or occasionally it is the same hero when Kaprizov is dominating during the course of a week or two time. Minnesota, obviously, building a gap between Colorado, St. Louis, teams like that, and actually passes Calgary to become the first place team in the Western Conference. But very importantly, I want to put this out for everybody. It is December, so all of you posting images of the standings on, Minnesota Wild Global, Minnesota Wild Nation, Minnesota Wild exclamation point, whatever the heck, all these other Facebook pages. Pump your brakes a little bit. Remember when Bruce Boudreau first got here, we were hanging around first place and all that the entire season, and then we lost in 5 games. This is a completely different team. I recognize that. Completely different team, completely different locker room, completely different general manager and coach and everything like that. But again, let's get back to also, if we win the President's Trophy, which sounds crazy, but if we do, because it could happen, it could, not that many President's Trophy teams win the Stanley Cup, unfortunately, either. Remember Nashville. Remember the Chicago Blackhawks, the year that we were, number 2 in the whole league. We both got knocked out in the first round that year. Wasn't that ridiculous? Nashville, that was the funny part. Nashville knocked off Chicago as like they were the 8th seed knocking off Chicago. The next year, they were the President's Trophy team, and they got knocked out in the first round. So it's like, well, So funny things happen to teams with President's Trophies. Tampa Bay was absolutely ridiculous years back, about 3 years ago now, and they got knocked out by the Columbus Blue Jackets. So all different kinds of factors to think about. I want to be playing this way in May and June. We're here to bleeping win, right? Right?
Spurgey? Hard work and having fun. That. This is about winning.
Yeah, I mean, when Bill Guerin said that, it wasn't about just winning in the regular season, though. It's nice to win in the regular season. Of course, you have to be able to win a certain amount to get into the postseason, and it'd be nice to have a good seed and everything. But we're here to win, like win everything, like the cup. That's the goal. The goal is to win the Stanley Cup, regardless if maybe your expectations are too high, it's too early. I don't care. Go ahead and win it. If you're in position to win it, then damn win it. Go get it. And I can imagine Bill Guerin saying that. If we're in position to win it, then go for it, baby. Do I want Bill Guerin to shake up the locker room and make a huge trade and trade away a lot of pieces? Actually, I don't want that. Unless it's the right move, so to speak. And I don't think he's going to tear apart the chemistry of a locker room that's fantastic right now. If he does make a move, I don't think he would go in that direction where he'd rip everything apart, kind of like Chuck Fletcher did years ago. trading for Martin Hanzal, which completely destroyed a very good hockey team. That was that year with the St. Louis Blues and everything, getting beat by Mike Yeo, who is now a head coach again. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Mike Yeo, head coach again. Bruce Boudreau, head coach again. Congratulations, guys. Even if it's interim for Yeo, we'll see what happens. But Mike Yeo, at least 2 more years in the National Hockey League, at least, maybe 5 more or 10 more. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But of course, now we'll miss Bruce Boudreau on NHL Network, I'm sure. I know I will, and I'm sure others will. Minnesota Wild defeated the New Jersey Devils on November the 2nd, 5-2, in fairly solid fashion. Kirill Kaprizov once again showed up to play and looked absolutely great. He put in an absolutely sick goal, just kind of flipping the puck. And he did the same thing against Toronto in the shootout. We'll get to that in a minute. I keep jumping ahead, and I apologize. Kaprizov and Ryan Hartman, though, both getting 3 points in the game, both a +4 with Matt Zuccarello. That line has just been absolutely ridiculous. They were the offense in that night. They were the straw that stirred the drink. Mackenzie Blackwood got absolutely, he got absolutely peppered throughout the whole night. And it was really, really something. 38 shots on goal against Mackenzie Blackwood. The Minnesota Wild win 5-2. 5-2. All goals were against Mackenzie Blackwood. There was no, there was no empty net goal. Ryan Hartman already 13 goals in the year. We might be talking about 30 goals. Let's look at projections for fun, since we're seeing how great Ryan Hartman and Kirill Kaprizov are playing right now. Kirill Kaprizov, if the season went up to 82 games, Kirill Kaprizov plays every game, so to speak. 30 goals, 69 assists, 98 points, and a +36 on the season. It's pretty crazy. So that's where he's projected, of course. And when guys miss games, so to speak, it projects the amount of games they might miss on average after that. This is ESPN, so anybody can do this, but it's still cool to look at. Ryan Hartman's on pace for 43 goals. 43 goals. I don't know if that's going to happen. Hello, Mr. Was it William Karlsson? Yeah, William Karlsson, not Eric, of the Vegas Golden Knights in their first season. 43 goals, 26 assists, 69 points, +69. What? This isn't the Edmonton Oilers or anything, is it? The 80s Oilers, anyway. Current Oilers team's pretty good, too, but they're not on par with that club. Nobody is on par with that team. Marcus Foligno, I think he's on pace for a career high. Yeah, 56 points, 36 goals for Foligno. He's been putting the puck in the net. Some of them are empty netters, but some of them are absolutely great. Like against the Edmonton Oilers. That guy is really something. He's having a great season. I'm kind of bouncing all around, and I apologize, but a nice, fun night. Nice to see Brent Pitlick get his 5th goal of the year. Kaprizov, 3 points. He had a 5-point week. Joel Eriksson Ek would have 2 multi-point games after this. He didn't score anything in this one with the multiple shots on goal. He certainly has improved in the face-off circle, though. It seems like every night he's above 500, so to speak, in the face-off circle. I mean, even Bukestad. Look at the difference in the face-offs. I mean, that's a big reason why this team is better, too. One of those little things you think about, but it's like, well, puck possession, right? It helps. 11-9 in the face-offs in Joel Eriksson Ek. Nico Sturm, 6-1. Nick Bukestad, 6-1. Wow, how about them fourth liners over there? Those German fourth liners. Freaking awesome. Good job, guys. The Bohemian line, right? That's what they should probably call that. Duhaime sounds more Francais. I'm sure it is. Brendan Duhaime. He hasn't scored in a long, long time, unfortunately. But that's how that goes sometimes. It kind of is what it is. But we appreciate what he brings one way or another. Brings the energy and such. You know the points are going to start happening again, generally speaking. But again, don't obsess. Again, I'm not bashing you out there, but just settle down a little bit. Stop posting images out there. Oh, I can't stop looking at this. I can't stop looking at this. It's don't do it. Just don't do it, okay? I don't think it's worth it. I want to see the standings at the end of the season, and at the end of the season, early May, so to speak. But I also want to see the Wild winning in the postseason. So many years we'd have these great runs, like when we got Devin Dubnyk and such, and then things just didn't work out in the end. It was so depressing. Like we get past St. Louis the year we got Devin Dubnyk. We beat St. Louis in 6 games, solid fashion. We beat St. Louis Blues, and then it's 3-0 Chicago, like 5 minutes into the game, and it's like, oh, come on. It was beyond depressing, and we ended up getting swept in that series. So I'm not saying that's going to happen. I don't think this team is going to collapse like that. But let's not Here we go. Let's not go crazy here in December about the record necessarily. It's fun, it's exciting, enjoy it, but don't overdo it. That's just my advice. I know I'm going a little too far sometimes. But again, nice solid win against the New Jersey Devils, where Lindy Ruff is coaching again. Good for him. Toronto Maple Leafs, one of the epic games of the season here. And of course, everybody excited about this one. Hey, maybe this will be the Cup final. And I was kind of teasing about that last time around. Maybe it will be. Maybe it will be. Toronto looks damn good. Minnesota Wild opened up 3-0 on Jack Campbell, which surprised the heck out of us. And then Toronto came roaring back and tied the sucker up. Both clubs getting 40-plus goals. Shots on goal. 82 shots on goal in the game. 40 for the Wild, 42 for the Toronto Maple Leafs, who had a fantastic run during the course of the second period. And in many cases, the Minnesota Wild would have probably collapsed and lost many times in the past. But the Wild, the stick-to-itiveness, as they call it, if that's a word. I think it is nowadays. It's an invented word by us sports media people, so to speak. The stick-to-itiveness of the Minnesota Wild versus this Toronto team was a sight to behold. This team is much more mentally tough than the teams of the past. Again, like the 17 Wild that had that fantastic freaking record. Remember that big winning streak? Was it 12 games in a row? And then we got beat by Columbus, who won their 13th or 14th in a row at the same time, which was really annoying on New Year's Eve. And the Wild had yet another New Year's Eve night loss in that case. And things weren't really the same after that, which was annoying. We stayed good, but it kept gradually getting worse, and then Devin Dubnyk dropped off majorly in March into April. Again, more reason to not overplay Cam Talbot. Nice to know we have a very competent backup in Capo Kakinen, who again was in net against New Jersey and was pretty good. Jule Eriksson would get a couple of assists versus the Toronto Leafs. Marcus Foligno with a big-time goal, which had us all just jumping out of our seats from Jule Eriksson. Matt Zuccarello's finally putting the puck on net. Matt's Zuccarello, and we get the power play, we being the Minnesota Wild. Jonas Brodin and Kirill Kaprizov assisting on that one. It was just a nice setup, and again, good release by Matt Zuccarello, and it also helped having the defender putting his skate in the right place in the right spot to deflect the puck into the net, but that's part of the game, baby. That's part of the game. It's funny, it looked like Zuccarello actually was trying to get the puck to Kaprizov, who would have been kind of open, depending on how distracted the defender was. Kaprizov might have had a quick one-timer right by the net there, which is, again, hard to believe, but it's possible. We saw what the Vikings did with Detroit, right? They left a wide receiver wide open in the end zone. That was great to lose the game. Yeah, but Greenway also opening things up late in the first period to put the Wild up 1-0. I was like, really? Is this going to be a low-scoring game versus Toronto? It can't be. And ended up not being that low-scoring. 4-3 is pretty standard, I would say, for two very good offenses. Which, again, Minnesota, very good offense. That was an oxymoron years ago, but it sure is now. It sure is. Very impressive, epic game versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. And, again, the stick-to-itiveness of this club was absolutely a sight to behold. Absolutely. I think I just bumped something. Oh, it didn't. It didn't move. I thought I just messed everything up and lost where I was, which would have been disappointing to say the least. Where is... Yep. Jule Eriksson 500. So the face-off's not so great against Toronto, but when you consider who's on the other side. I mean, John Tavares 17-6 in the face-offs. I know it's like you don't want to just go up and down this and up and down that and look at random stats, but Victor Rask 8-2 in the face-off wins, which is pretty cool. And it's important. Winning the face-off is important. That's Wild last year couldn't win a face-off to save our lives. Yeah, we still had an okay season, got into the playoffs, and it was a fun year last year. Went to 7 games versus Vegas. It was fun, but it didn't end. It didn't end great, unfortunately. It was a classic 7th game loss for a team that was not as good as the other team, basically. It was one of those kind of deals, like the North Stars losing to Detroit circa 91-92, way back in the day. Yes, the North Stars wearing those black jerseys in Detroit, Michigan, back in the day when Detroit was just getting started, becoming a division champion type team and eventually becoming a Stanley Cup contender for years to come. After that, a lot of people would say this was one of the funnest games of the week here. 4-1 over Edmonton. Again, what the Wild did to the penalty kill, or power play, pardon me, of the Edmonton Oilers was unbelievable in the game. It was absolutely crazy. Edmonton couldn't get any power plays going, and you felt like $1 million. I guess it was 0 for 5. They made it. Somebody made it sound like 0 for 9 for Edmonton, but no, 0 for 5. The Wild were able to stop 5 power plays. Cam Talbot is the best penalty killer. Like they say, the goaltender is the best penalty killer on the team, and that's true. And Minnesota, again, Cam Talbot had an absolutely awesome game. As the youngsters might say, a sick game. And yes, I would say that very much so. 4-1 victory for Minnesota. Mikko Koskinen, that's the one thing they say. I would agree with anybody that would say Mikko Koskinen is the weakness of the Edmonton Oilers. Of course he is, even though he's had an okay season. Mike Smith is adequate, but he keeps getting hurt now, and he's older than Devin Dubnyk. He's older than Devin Dubnyk, so what does that tell you? Cam Talbot facing 39 shots, and again, 5 power plays against the number 1 power play in the league, and the 2 best players in the league on the same roster, Leon Draisaitl. And yes, it is nice to hear some people saying Leon Draisaitl is the best player in the league, and I agree. Draisaitl is actually the best player in the NHL right now. Connor McDavid's right there, though, and again, he was super frustrated throughout the night. Did get his 1 assist. And, oh boy, I always have a hard time with this one. Let's just call him JP. Pula Harvey, I think it's how you Pula Harvey. I think I got it. Maybe. I've had a hard time with that name forever. Yep. He was able to score the goal and get Edmonton kind of in the mix there. And it's like, it's 2-1. It's the 2-goal lead. We all know that's the worst lead that's the most dangerous lead in the NHL. And guess what? Well, the Wild end up winning anyway. We're the team that scored 2 goals, not Edmonton and the Wild. Win 4-1, which felt great. No empty netters in this one. They're all earned. Foligno just keeps putting the puck in the net. Wound up with 2 goals in 2 games here with Toronto and Edmonton. Drew Eriksson, multi-point game here, a goal and an assist. Nice, actually a very, very nice goal in this case. But the goal that led to, where was it? Marcus Foligno's, the assist and the play that led to Marcus Foligno's goal. That whole play was just awesome. Drew Eriksson skating up into the neutral zone, and the nice move he made around the defender. That was just incredible stick handling, I'd have to say. It was great, and then the pass up to Matt Dumba, who had this quick release on his pass, and Marcus Foligno, a beautiful wrister. That was the play of the night, I'd have to say, throughout the entire game here. It truly was. I mean, Dmitry Kulikov, I'm not sure why certain people don't like him. I know Isha Jerome of the Soda Pod doesn't like him. He said, get him the hell out of here. Is he that bad? I think he's having a good year. I don't know. It's kind of a mixed opinion with Dmitry Kulikov, it seems like. Some people love him, some people hate him. I'd say I like him. Maybe not love, but I do like him. I think he's having a good year. So, not sure where the hate's coming from in that one. I understand. So, it is what it is. Maybe we need to have more of that lupulin. Maybe we need to have more of that lupulin chocolate peanut butter porter. A State of Hoppy? Yep. it's good stuff. It really is. Lupulin. I should get them as a sponsor, but no, I don't know who would sponsor me. I don't know. Nobody likes me, right? I'm just kidding. But yeah, just another night where the Minnesota Wild showed up to play, and they showed up to win. And again, stopping 5 power plays against the number 1 power play in the league when we've been one of the worst penalty killers in the league. It makes you feel like $1 million when you're able to accomplish that type of thing. It is, it's a huge deal, huge freaking deal. So generally speaking, we talked about Kaprizov, we talked about the win streak. Fiala made an awesome move in this game, and he's made multiple good moves throughout the games, but this one especially, just the way he just skated around people. It was a 2-on-1, and he made it a 1-on-1 with the goalie, did Fiala. But a great save by Koskinen, and switch figures, because again, Koskinen's a mediocre goalie, but he made a great save on Kevin Fiala, and again, it's just, your heart goes out to the guy, because he's given it everything he's got. One of these days, he's going to score he's going to have a hat trick one of these days. I got to think. I just hope it's for us and not for Vancouver or something. Maybe Bruce Boudreau will get Kevin Fiala. I still remember Fiala was actually pretty sad when Bruce Boudreau left, but well, him and his replacement have gotten along and have not gotten along. Again, Dean Evison, of course. They've had their moments. They did in Milwaukee, and they had their good and bad moments here in Minnesota as well. I better get moving on to some of these other topics. Again, Boudreau to Vancouver, Mike Yeo to Philadelphia. Again, Mike Yeo, of course, was an assistant in Philadelphia. He becomes the interim coach. Good luck to him, and hoping for the best for him. I have nothing against him. I wouldn't want him as the head coach of the Wild, but just saying. Again, and it figures with Chuck Fletcher. Some people believe that both of them will be gone at the end of the year. Will be gone from the Philadelphia at the end of the year. Maybe Rick Tocchet takes over or something at some point. A lot of people believe Rick Tocchet could be the next coach of Philly because that's his team. It just is. Bruce Boudreau in Vancouver. I think that could be a really good situation, possibly. It was a toxic environment before. Things just were not working out. There's so much talent in Vancouver. There is. I mean, Pettersson, Quinn Hughes, Bo Horvat, Brock Besser. There's some talent over there, man. There's no reason why the Vancouver Canucks shouldn't be in the playoff mix. I got to think they should be. Decent goaltending, not great. And Boudreau, entertaining guy, obviously, but a knowledgeable coach. I was kind of sad and scared when he got fired. I was like, well, then what's the vision? But I mean, okay, but it's like, wait a minute, Bill Guerin's the GM. I think there's got to be some kind of plan here. And, well, there was, and it ended up being better than we imagined. Dean Evason ended up being much better than we ever imagined. Bruce Boudreau, again, though, good luck in Vancouver, hoping for the best. Talbot, I mean, he made the saves he needed to do time and time again versus the Edmonton Oilers, which was great. Another stat here that needs to be mentioned. Going into Edmonton, the Minnesota Wild were 9-0 when leading after 2 periods. And now they're 10-0 when leading after 2 periods. Pretty freaking cool. That's a beautiful statistic. It's like I'd lost track of that. It's one of those numbers, one of those statistics that's really important. And that tells you this team is definitely different than the past. So, no, I don't think the Minnesota Wild are going to lose in 5 games to a St. Louis or a Colorado. I don't think so. But, again, Minnesota sports, we've been through hell in this town, folks. We saw a 15-1 football team fall apart versus an Atlanta Falcons club that was also really good, by the way, 14-2. So I was scared to death going into that game because I knew Atlanta was dangerous, and they had all the tools of a team that can F up your season in the postseason. You just never know in the NHL. Funny stuff happens. There's this team of destiny that pops up out of nowhere. Maybe it's the Florida Panthers. Maybe it's the St. Louis Blues again. Oh God! But it could be. The St. Louis is pretty good. One other funny, couple other notes. I talked about again that Foligno goal. That was pretty cool. I really loved it. Kaprizov also a well-timed tip, basically to Kulikov in the center ice or neutral zone, we'll call it. Was perfectly timed. It was a redirection type of a pass where the puck came to Kaprizov and he just tapped it towards Kulikov and he wound up scoring the goal. That was pretty cool. Kaprizov also was hit in the balls. Yeah, okay, I said it. He was hit in the nut cup, the jock, whatever you want to call it, by Draisaitl with the stick. It was funny for a moment, to be quite honest. I mean, that couldn't have been fun, though. Obviously, a stick going right in there. Ooh. A friend, Mike Holzer, shout out to you if you happen to be listening. I'm thinking he doesn't, but maybe he does. Lives in Idaho now. Grew up here, obviously, and lived most of his life in Minnesota. Lives in Idaho now, which must be cool because it's quiet and all that. He thought it was a dirty play. I don't know. It didn't look that bad. It looked like just kind of scuffling for the puck and such, and the stick was moving and it went the wrong way, and stuff happens. That kind of thing. I don't know. So some of us immature guys find that kind of thing funny, and I guess I'm one of them. I apologize. I have an immature side. I mean, stuff like that happened in gym class all the time with even one time a badminton racket. Can you believe that? And I got hit there with a team. Well, no, it wasn't the teammate. It was the other team. Me and my, we're obviously scrimmaging basketball. Nate Lindholm was kind of falling out of bounds with the ball. Obviously was making a save, basically saving the ball, threw the ball off of me, like that's how veteran players do. They throw the ball off of the defender so it goes out of bounds off of them. Well, it went the wrong way, that kind of thing. So yeah, there, now I get to make fun of myself a little bit too, and of course everybody had fun with that one for quite a long time. Yeah. So that's how it goes. So we can poke fun at ourselves, poke fun at Kirill Kaprizov in that situation and others. Unfortunately, Kaprizov didn't play really well after that. I hope he's okay. I hope it wasn't too bad. But he was saying he's okay. He was nodding like, yeah, I'm fine. but probably hurt like hell, I'm sure. The Mike Modano Award winner, that's kind of a tough one. You could say Talbot for the Edmonton game, Kaprizov in general. Again, another huge week with he at 5 points. Zuccarello shooting the puck now, and he had a nice, strong week. Foligno was really good. Jules Eriksson with 4 points this week. Man, I think I'm going to go with Cam Talbot because he really held on. The Toronto game, I mean, easily we could have lost that one. And again, 5 power plays versus Edmonton. I think Talbot is going to get he's going to get a slight nod over the others. I mean, multiple guys could have gotten the Mike Modano Award for this episode. But I'll give it to Talbot. Again, honorable mention to the obvious, Jules Eriksson and Kirill Kaprizov for sure. Even Foligno, honorable mention in a lot of ways. The James Shepard Memorial, I mean, I can't complain too much. DeHame hasn't been scoring anymore, which is sad. If I give it to him, it's the most gentle James Shepard Memorial ever. Maybe we'll just call it a semi-honorable mention. Like he's not even going to get it, but it's like he hasn't been scoring lately. It's a little bummer, but he's still a factor out there. Just not as much of a factor lately. So again, hasn't been getting assists either. So despite the fact that Bukestad and Sturm have been factors more so, I'd say he's been the quietest player lately. So I guess I'll very gently give it to him. I'm sure Isha Jerome would want me to give it to Kulikov every week in case he listens. I'm not sure if he does or not. But at the end of the day, yeah, that's the direction I'll go. With that, we'll take a quick break, come back and preview 4 games. 4 games now. Schedule getting a little busier. And we are back here on Brave the Wild, segment number 2. Going to look at 4 teams here. Thought I had it ready, and I'm supposed to, dang it. So, yep, the Minnesota will play the Minnesota Wild. Will play the San Jose Sharks in the Shark Tank tonight. Because I guess it's called the Shark Tank. It's SAP Center, SAP Center. Yep, SAP, that's a nice software that a lot of us, we use that at Boston Scientific as well, SAP Center. Frederick Goudreau, of course, COVID protocol as well at the moment. Jared Spurgeon. I'm too excited. Still kind of hanging on. Still hasn't played yet. And again, Jonas Brodin has been freaking awesome. Some of the moves that guy makes, his skating is unbelievable. His value is off the charts. I just love Jonas Brodin. But yeah, Spurgeon is very close though. He's been skating and such, so he's coming around. Sharks are, let's look at the standings since that's all we care about, right? Now the Sharks have been dropping off a little bit lately. They're down to 14 and 11, so their red hot start not quite the same. They're 5th place in the Pacific Division, 3 and 2 though, respectively, in their last 5. 5 to win over New Jersey. That sounds familiar. 5-2 win over New Jersey, just like us. New York Islanders, they can't beat anybody anymore. But again, they got ravaged with the COVID situation, so it is what it is. It sucks. COVID protocol is COVID protocol, and it can kill you sometimes. 2-1 victory over the New York Islanders. Only managed 2 goals on them. But yeah, that's what kind of team they are. They're kind of like the Jacques Lemaire Wild in a way. 1-0 loss against the New York Rangers the next night. Maybe a little tired battling with those New York Islanders, I guess. The 6-4 demolition loss versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. Getting tired on the road trip, and they come home to host the Calgary Flames and beat them on the 7th. They beat the Calgary Flames, wow, which probably helped the Minnesota Wild move up into 1st place in the Western Conference. Again, since we're looking at stuff like that every 10 minutes. The season series will be wrapped up on my wife's birthday, April 17th. I will not tell you how old she is. Yeah, I can tell you how old I am, 42. Okay, so that's okay. Wild are now 3rd in goals. Sharks are 20th. Goals against, we're both kind of in the middle, 16th and 13th respectively. Sharks are a little better, believe it or not. It's just weird, but, well, Devin Dubnik's not their goalie anymore. They'd be like 31st. Okay, I'm sorry. He recently signed, I believe, a minor league contract, didn't he? I do believe. Yep, very recently. But with all due respect, yeah, yeah. third in assists is Minnesota. Goals and assists. Sharks are down to 19th. Shooting percentage, Sharks are down to 17th. Everybody on the Wild has a high shooting percentage except poor Kevin Fiala. Time to break out of it, Kevin. Let's go. Break out of it. Wild penalty minutes are getting a little better. The Sharks are much more disciplined. They're 11th. Penalty kill, second in the league for the Sharks. Wild are now up to 13th. Wow. The Wild have been red hot on the penalty kill. The power play is all the way down to 26 for Minnesota. Sharks 16th. Sharks very good in special teams, to be quite fair. Great penalty kill. So our power play might stink again tonight if they have the best penalty kill or second best penalty kill. The Wild are now 13th. It seems like yesterday we were one of the worst in the league. In fact, I think we were the worst for a minute there at the end of the day. Very talented club, but guys have been hurt off and on. They have James Reiner, the goalie, is sick, apparently, just recently. Rudolph's Balsters, lower body injury as of December the 5th. Jonah Godjovic rolls right off your tongue. Ankle left the game as of December the 2nd. Those names just roll right off your tongue, don't they? Household names. Yeah, if you're in like super duper fantasy hockey, maybe you're like 40 teams or something. Yeah, they might be on your lineup. Okay, I'm just messing around. Obviously, there's some talented players on this roster. James Reimer has had a very good season. He really has. 2 goals against on the year. Save percentage 93.4, and he's gotten a shutout. Aiden Hill's been very respectable as well. It doesn't help that Reimer's sick, so that's a bummer. Aiden Hill's been respectable, 6-7 on the year with his record, but goals against average kind of closer to where Kakinen is right now, 2.8, and save percentage about 91, and 1 shutout on the season. Timo Meyer has been awesome. Meyer, if I'm saying it correctly, 26 points on the year, 11 goals. Thomas Hertl, maybe future Minnesota Wild, leads the club with 12 goals, 17 total points. Logan Couture with 23 points. 8 of those are goals on the season. Brent Burns, as Jacques Lemaire used to call him, 15 points on the year. He's a slow starter. Every year he starts slow like that, doesn't he? Every year. And the next thing you know, 60 points, 70 points. Watch out. I'm guaranteeing Brent Burns is going to factor in at least something against the Minnesota Wild, because he always does. Carlson had COVID protocol, Erik Karlsson that is, had COVID protocol earlier in the season. He's back. He's been playing well. 16 points on the year, 7 goals, which leads all defensemen for the Sharks. 7 goals already. That's pretty good. Obviously, we all know the pirate as he is. Nick Bonino has played in every game. He has 4 goals, and that's it. Nick Bonino, former Minnesota Wild, and of course, Ryan Donato is no longer on the Sharks. He's on the Seattle Sea Monsters. Yeah, there we go. They're not the Kraken. They're the Sea Monsters. They're not the Seahawks either. Okay, Cogliano, former Anaheim Duck, playing in the lower 6 there for that club. Former Duck Jonathan Dahlen. Not Ulf or the other one in Buffalo, but Jonathan Dahlen. 12 points on the season for him. Minnesota should win this game, but we always play funny in San Jose. I don't know. We've had a weird history with the Sharks. Sometimes we get red hot and play great against them, and then next thing you know, we start losing to them. We've already lost to them this year, if I remember correctly. I had it up. Yeah, we lost 4-1. Man, earlier in the season. I wish they'd put the date up. They used to. Otherwise, you have to dig through the schedule, which, come on now. The date should still be up there. That's bull crap. Minnesota, if you want to win this series, you got to win tonight. You got to tie this thing up immediately. It's a 3-game series. Wraps up again in mid to late April there, third week of April. Boy, Sharks might be one of those funny teams that actually wins the season series versus the Wild this year. They could. I do not want to pick a loss in this game, but I think, eventually you're not going to win every single game. Oh, I think I see one. Okay, well, I'll say the Wild do beat the San Jose Sharks and win their 6th game in a row. We beat the San Jose Sharks tonight. Final score, 3-2, something like that. 3-2, 4-3. Kevin Fiala finally ends it with 2 goals. 2 goals for Kevin Fiala versus the San Jose Sharks tonight. 2 goals for Kevin Fiala versus the Sharks. Let's move on quickly here. I'm babbling too much. Los Angeles Kings. Los Angeles. Jonathan Quick is the Devin Dubnyk of the Kings. Obviously, great history and all that. Well, maybe I should shut my mouth. He's playing way better now. He'd been terrible for a while, and now he's playing great. 2.27 goals against average. What the heck? Where have I been? Keeping up with the Wild, I guess. Well, they did recently lose 4-0 to the Vancouver Canucks, and it was Kelvin Peterson in net that night. He's the one that's not doing so hot right now. 3.1 goals against average, 89 the save percentage for him. But Jonathan Quick, my goodness, it's 2012 again. Holy moly, man. Or even 2014. He's having a fantastic year. Good for him. Record is only 5-5, though, because there's just not a whole lot in front of him at the moment. Victor Arvidsson, former Nashville Predator with 12 points in 17 games. Anze Kopitar, a point a game on the season. He's obviously the best player in that club by far. He's fantastic. Brendan Lemieux once again looked on as a promising player. Only 5 points so far this year in 14 games. He's been banged up. Philip Denault was a name brought up to Minnesota Wild. Well, we wanted the Wild to chase him in free agency, but that just didn't happen. They don't score a whole lot of goals. Their penalty kill's not good. Their power play's okay. This and that. But Jonathan Quick, I'd say Quick and Kopitar are the two best players in the club. I'm sorry for talking trash about Jonathan Quick. He's, yeah. And I look like an idiot right now, so I apologize for that. Blake Lizotte, COVID protocol. Andreas, yeah. Athensio with he's also in COVID protocol, and Sean Walker torn ACL and MCL in October. Defenseman torn ACL and MCL. Ugh. I believe he was involved in I think there was like a cheap shot play last year, like against him, not for him, but not by him, but against him last year. Oh man, because I remember that name really rings a bell. So the Wild actually have run 7 in a row already. We'd be winning our 8th versus the Sharks. Can we beat the Kings? I think so. I think the Wild will beat the Kings. One of these games we're not going to win. I mean, there's no way we're going to go perfect again. And if we do, holy cow, I guess more power to us. Kings are 2-3 in their last 5. They beat Ottawa 4-2 like everyone else. They lost in Anaheim. Again, Anaheim's been a little bit of a surprise this year. In fact, I'd say a pretty big surprise. They're 3rd in the Western Conference right now. Anaheim. What? Wow. They lost to Calgary like most teams do. They beat Edmonton 5-1. Yep, that was a surprise. And then shut out in Bruce Boudreau's opener for the Vancouver Canucks. Minnesota won 3-2 earlier in the year. We wrap up the season series on April the 10th. So, is this one of those trap games where the Minnesota Wild gets shut down by Jonathan Quick? I don't think Jonathan Quick's shutting the Wild out. I'd be shocked. They're 500. They're not really in the mix, but you never know. Back in the day, 500 made the playoffs. It's kind of funny what's going to happen versus the Los Angeles Kings. The Wild should win the game, right? They should. California can be a pain in the butt. It has been in the past. The Sharks, the Ducks, and the Kings. Oftentimes in the past, the Wild went 0-3 or 1-2 in the group, but we're not playing the Ducks this time around. Just the Sharks and the Kings. Interestingly, the Wild should win the game, right? We should win the game. I want to see Capo Kakkonen in that. Maybe this game is a good game because they don't score a whole lot and Capo Kakkonen needs action. You can't play Talbot every night. And Capo Kakkonen, I think, could be a starting goalie in the NHL. Some of you might look at me and be like, what? I do think Capo Kakkonen has starting goalie abilities. I think he's starting goalie material in the league. Maybe not superstar, but starter, this and that. Wild will win the game, slightly lower scoring. I think it's going to be like 3-2 again, maybe even 3-1, like empty net. 3-2. Let's go with 3-2. Most likely guy to score in this one will be Kirill Kaprizov. He scored his first goal against this club, and he just continues to dominate. I think Kaprizov gets at least one of the 3 goals, and the Wild win versus the Kings. Let's keep moving. Let's move on to the Vegas Golden Knights. Unfortunately, I think this is the loss of the group, or actually maybe Carolina. Carolina's obviously absolutely fantastic. Alec Martinez, facial laceration as of November the 11th. Nolan Patrick, upper body injury, October the 24th. That can't be good. So that's like forever. Undisclosed injury for Leighton Ahak. Okay. Right. Layden. Okay. Don't look now, but Vegas is now fourth place in their division and only 5 points behind the Calgary Flames, who are only 2 points behind us. Vegas is catching up a little bit. 3-2 in their last 5. They've won 3 games in a row. They beat the Wild 3-2 earlier this season. Something about this matchup, the worm has turned in this matchup, let me tell you. It used to be, Vegas, no matter how good Vegas was and how mediocre the Wild were years ago, we'd always beat Vegas. Remember the year they went to the Cup final? We swept their butts. We swept Vegas that year. That's weird, isn't it? And we continued to play well against Vegas. I think we lost once to them the next year, if I remember correctly. But generally speaking, we've dominated Vegas. And now the worm feels like it's turned a bit. They're starting to get healthier a little bit. Mark Stone is finally playing again, and he's over a point a game. So Mark Stone really making up for time lost. Fantastic playmaker. Again, I actually think Kirill Kaprizov is similar to him in a lot of ways. Kirill Kaprizov is definitely a better goal scorer than Mark Stone. Definitely a better goal scorer than Mark Stone. And again, the Toronto game actually was a shootout. And Kirill Kaprizov had that spectacular goal in that one. So Kirill Kaprizov definitely has more goal-scoring ability. And I apologize for calling it a 4-3 win versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's like, how I went to the shootout. Fiala was actually the only guy who didn't score. And then as I'm backtracking here for a second, he was actually the only guy who didn't score in that one. It was kind of funny. Kaprizov, though, had the move of the night. Big time. I was going to get to that, and then I just never did because I'm an idiot. I was talking about it. I was hinting at it earlier in the show, and then I never got around to the actual shootout part. But shootouts, you don't want to talk about those a whole lot. But still, when you have a guy like Kirill Kaprizov who can put on a show, even in the shootout, it's getting fun. The shootouts are getting a little better because of that reason, where star players are making great plays. Max Pacioretty's back as well. Again, those two guys, there's a reason why Vegas stunk at the beginning of the year, because their star players were hurt. I mean, just like Max Pacioretty wasn't in the whole series versus Minnesota until the 7th game, and he was a factor in that game when the Vegas Knights beat us. Mark Stone, again, 12 assists on the season, 15 points in 13 games. Good to have him back. It's good for hockey to have Mark Stone back on the ice and see the Vegas Golden Knights, who have now won 3 in a row, as I mentioned earlier. They're scoring goals now. They're 6th in the league. I mean, they weren't scoring anything early, but it's just a different club. 7-1 crushing over Arizona on December the 3rd. Edmonton, they lost in Edmonton 3-2. They lost in Anaheim 6-5. Epic battle there. They beat Calgary the other night, December the 5th. That was a big-time win for the Vegas Golden Knights, and then beat the Stars last night on TNT. You could call it hockey night. I just call it NHL on TNT, I guess. 5-4 victory for Vegas. They're just getting better and better. Where Dallas was up 3-1 in that game, and Vegas came roaring back. They said, screw that. We're not going to lose to you guys. You guys aren't that good. Huge win for Vegas. I don't think the Wild beat Vegas in this game. I think it's going to be 4-2 Vegas, unfortunately. Maybe an empty netter. Maybe it goes to a shootout and it registers as 4-3, something like that. But I think Vegas beats the Wild, unfortunately. And the winning streak ends at it would be 9 games, a 9-game winning streak. Pretty impressive, but a 9-game winning streak, in my opinion anyway, ends in Las Vegas. Most likely going to score in this game, let's go with Matt Dumba versus the Vegas Golden Knights, but a 4-3 shootout, overtime, whatever the heck. It's going to be a close game all the way to the end, but I think Vegas squeaks it out and beats the Wild and keeps their streak alive. They're going to be a dangerous team this year, but who's to say the Wild can't beat Vegas in a 7-game series? I think they absolutely can moving forward. As we try to move on to the final game here versus the Carolina Hurricanes. They're number 1 in the league in number 1 in goals against anyway. Frederik Andersen is having a fantastic season for the Toronto Maple Leafs, allowing only 2 goals a game, save percentage about 93, and only 1 shutout. He had a goals against average that good. Consistency, baby. Sebastian Aho is leading the club in goals and points overall, and assists. 27. He's a dominant player. Svechnikov, Tony DeAngelo, Vincent Trocheck, the former Florida Panther, Teuvo Teravainen, absolutely super talented roster. Niederreiter missed a few games. He has 11 points. He's been better than last year. Last year he was invisible. He did not have a good year last year. The veteran Jordan Staal, still a factor. He's been there for a long time now. Ian Cole's got 3 points in 24 games. The ever solid defenseman that we do miss, but we have had some nice replacements for him. The Minnesota Wild got some nice replacements anyway. This one will be on ESPN Plus next Tuesday. Svechnikov, though, unfortunately, upper body injury. We'll see if he's able to come back. I'm not sure how serious it is, but we'll find out, I guess. Upper body injury on December the 4th. Jordan Martinook, ankle, left the game on December the 2nd. Tony DeAngelo, COVID protocol as of November 29th. I got to think he'll be back by then, but you never know. Everybody's different, I guess. At the end of the day, Frederick Anderson and Sebastian Aho definitely leading this club in a lot of ways. December 14th in the X, and Carolina hosts the Wild on April 2nd. April 2nd. Yep, Carolina is 2-3 in their last 5. Again, the injuries do not help. Significant injuries to Carolina. Maybe the Wild take advantage. Injuries and sickness, that is. Carolina is very dangerous. I think the Wild could absolutely lose this game. Maybe the Wild have a quick little 2-game losing streak, or maybe this is the game where the Wild end up not winning. I believe we had 10 wins in a row and then had it snapped by Carolina. Wild absolutely can beat Carolina. There's no question about that. Super talented team. They've been very tough against Minnesota over the years. Even when they weren't super good, they've been a tough team to deal with. And when they are good, they're almost impossible to beat. Like back in the day, I always go back to when guys like Rod Brindamore were still playing, and they won the Stanley Cup in 2006. They crushed the Wild 7-2. I remember years ago in the X. It was just like, whoa! It was very impressive, and that's when I first really realized this is not only a good team. They might win the Stanley Cup, which sounds weird. Carolina Stanley Cup, yep. And I picked them last year to win it, and no, they didn't. Last year in the playoffs, anyway. Before the playoffs started. Minnesota wins. Minnesota wins 2-1. 2-1. Minnesota squeaks out a close one. Ryan Hartman scores a clutch goal late in the game, and the Minnesota Wild escape. Maybe Brodin adds an empty netter and make it 3-1, but I will say officially 2-1 victory for Minnesota. Cam Talbot stops, 30-plus shots, has a great night. And Ryan Hartman is clutch and delivers at the end of the day. I apologize. I almost never mentioned his name with the goal scoring lately when he's the top goal scorer on the team. I can see him. I just saw his name and I'm like, yeah, he'll be due for that big clutch goal. And the Wild defeat the Carolina Hurricanes. With that, let's take a look at the prospects, shall we? And as per usual, we will open things up with the Iowa Wild. Kyle Rowell's leading that club in scoring. They got shut out the other day, which back on the weekend, which was a little frustrating. And of course, you have to wait 3, 4, 5 days for the next game. It's like, come on, tired of waiting. Mason Shaw, by the way, has been called up by the Minnesota Wild. Mason Shaw called up by the Minnesota Wild. Maybe he scores tonight versus the Sharks. Wouldn't that be cool? That'd be awesome. Mason Shaw called up by the Minnesota Wild. So now I'm just super curious here. I'm looking forward to see how that turns out. He was actually already on the roster versus Edmonton, but again was scratched, which I thought, yes, yeah, he was on the roster but scratched. I'm not sure why call him up then, but maybe he can be a weapon here. We'll see. But Mason Shaw, it's been a long time in coming, and of course still a very young guy, but he's been in the system for a bit here. Kyle Rao and Marco Rossi leading the club in scoring. Marco Rossi back playing again, which is good. Did not factor in the scoring. Again, they got shut out on the weekend, but lost 4-3 last night in the shootout. The only major prospect that factored in the scoring was Nick Swaney getting his 8th goal of the season, so happy for him. He started off red hot and then just kind of completely stopped. He just hit like a wall or something, like a rookie wall, even though he's not a rookie at this point. He's 23 now. But hit a wall and hadn't scored until last night, but a 4-3 loss there. As for the, I'll get back to them in a second. Matt Boldy still had a point a game, but again, not much factoring in the scoring here when it comes to the main players. Kyle Rao and Joe Hickett's just being a factor in everything over and over and over and over again. You could argue Kyle Rao is the best player on the roster other than Mark Rossi down there. Kalen Addison, only 6 assists on the season in 13 games. Obviously, less games than other players because he was in the NHL for a while. And even Kevin Kuzman is on the Minnesota Wild right now, but, getting scratched it's like their insurance replacements, I guess, like injuries or sickness, that kind of thing. Maybe for the road trip. That must be why they did that. Where Mason Shaw can help out, this and that. Maybe they suspect something, somebody's not feeling good or something, but hard to say. Hunter Jones is back up with Iowa and out of the ECHL. I'm sure he's happy to be away from the Iowa Heartlanders, who've been shut out 2 games in a row now. 4-0, 4-0. What the bleep? What the bleep? Hunter Jones in 1 game. He did lose, but 2 goals against. That must have been, obviously, was pulled in the game. Made 30 saves. Hunter Jones. Yeah, I'm guessing they figured he's not going to progress well with how things are going in Iowa, the Iowa Heartlanders at the moment. But again, both minor league systems, not a great week for either team. No wins whatsoever. Luckily, guys like Hickett's, Rao, and Nick Sweeney factoring in the scoring this past week. Adam Beckman's also been pretty quiet lately, which is a bummer. Beckman, Addison, guys like that have been quite quiet. And we'll see what happens. Boldy, hope they can get things rolling again pretty soon as well. That would be fantastic. Let's try to move on here because it looks like the minor league system. Yep, and Alexander Hovanov's been in 3 games for Iowa so far and has a -2, and that's about all, folks, unfortunately. Carson Lambos, still 19 games, 18 points. Nothing to say there. Jack Pert had a huge week with 4 points, 2 goals, 2 assists now. 2 goals and 8 assists overall, 10 points for Jack Pert. Actually, he had all assists, 4 assists. 10 total points, though, now on the season. Huge weekend last week. 4 points. Hopefully Jack Pert can keep that up. Really nice to see him. He was the player of the week with the MNW Prospects, which was very exciting, to be quite frank, for the youngster. Caden Bankier, he's now at 22 games, 21 total points, the center for the Kamloops Blazers. Again, 10 goals, 11 assists. He's been very solid all season. Kyle Most is with 6 points in 26 games for the Red Deer Rebels. Very familiar WHL club. WHL, Western Hockey League. He is a +14 on the season. Kyle Masters has been solid there. Josh Pilar, 29 points in 22 games, dominating in a big way. Already reached last season's total. Funny, though, he's actually on the same pace. So it'd be nice to see him move on to the AHL next season. If he's kind of plateauing there in the WHL. Oof. He's like almost exactly the same. The only thing missing is the 5 penalty minutes. 2 less goals, but 2 more assists. Blah 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 blah. He's a +11, which is all identical. It's weird. Josh Pilar, I think overall he'll have a better season. Nate Benoit, though, adding another point, getting his 2nd assist now. He scored his first goal last week. Now 20. He's now on 3 points in 19 games. Nate Benoit has been putting points a little bit finally. Marek Kuznetsov at 11 points in 29 games thus far, +5. As I'm jumping all over the place, kind of Europe and juniors, might as well. The Sioux Greyhounds again. Ryan O'Rourke, almost a point a game. He's dominating there. Can't wait to see him in the AHL. I think he's definitely ready for professional hockey one way or another. 16 assists on the season. He's been all over the place. 33 penalty minutes, or PIMs, or whatever you want to call it. He's only a +1 on the season, but they're not doing as good as they were last year. But Ryan O'Rourke continues to get better and better and better. Damon Hunt continues to be something. The scoring not so high at the moment, but still playing a huge role, huge factor for the Moose Jaw Warriors. Again, believed to be a legitimate NHL prospect, and he absolutely is, being a 65th pick in the draft in 2020 and showing all the signs of NHL material, the toughness, stick-to-itiveness, all that good stuff. Damon Hunt, 16 points in 22 games. Pavel Novak is dominating the Kelowna Rockets right now, dominating. 26 points for him at only age of 19, 11 goals in 21 games, 26 total points. He's a +7. He just keeps getting better and better. Certainly wasn't as visible last season, generally speaking, but of course he was off overseas and wasn't doing a whole lot of scoring, but absolutely dominating now. Again, another guy. I can't wait to see him in the American Hockey League coming up. Let's look at Jesper Wallstedt. Not sure. They're kind of moving him around, so still not a whole lot to say with him at the moment. I think he's been missing games, which is unfortunate. Vladislav. First off, University of Connecticut. He's been kind of in and out. Unfortunately for him, 8 points in 12 games thus far, 5 goals for him for University of Connecticut. A Russian at the University of Connecticut, Matt Vyguskov, 6 points in 23 games. The games keep coming, and he doesn't score too much, unfortunately, but it is the KHL. A little bit tougher place to score unless you're one of the real high-end players. Marshall Warren now at 8 points in 14 games, 3 goals, 5 assists for Boston College. Marshall Warren. Nikita Nesterenko definitely had a better pace than last season and shows the toughness, scoring ability for Boston College, of course. Still only in his sophomore year. Really looking forward to his career. I think he's got NHL in his future. I do, even though he was a 6th-round pick. Signs point that he could be an NHL guy. Of course, again, college to pro is a tough. It's a very tough projection. You just never know. And again, 7th-round pick with Nick Swaney. I think he could make it in the NHL, but probably, again, is maybe a Brandon Duhaime who can score a little bit higher scoring version of Brandon Duhaime maybe in the NHL, which is, again, nothing wrong with that. Nikita Nesterenko looks more like a skill guy to me than a tough guy, so to speak. Swaney's kind of a mix. He puts the puck on that. He's like a natural goal scorer who can add a little toughness as well. Certainly has leadership ability. Speaking of toughness, you got Jack McBain. Again, 20 points now in 15 games. Not quite at the crazy pace he was earlier, but still well above a point a game with 9 goals in 15 games. 20 total points on the season. He's a +7. Love the big, giant Jack McBain. Sam Henches, he's been out. He's been out. 5 points, 5 games. That's it. He's been out. Sam Henches has been out, which is quite unfortunate, to say the least. Philip Johansson's, it's like he did this last year where he started hot and then there wasn't a whole lot after that. 7 points for Philip Johansson in 10 games. Wow, he's fantastic. It's 24 games now. 7 points. But at least he's a +8 and he plays a bit of that high IQ game, which we all appreciate. He's just not standing out a whole lot. Neither is Simon Johansson either. But I suppose 11 points in 27 games is nothing to sneeze at, but it is in a smaller league at the end of the day. He's not in the top league there, like Philip Johansson in Swedish 1 league. So that's pretty much where we stand with the prospects. Again, Jesper Wallstedt, not sure what's going on there, and that's unfortunate. Nice week by Jack Pert. Guys like that, Pavel Novak, guys like that are really standing out. Nikita Nesterenko. Those are probably the best prospects for this week, in my humble opinion. But Jack Pert definitely earned his award on MNW Prospects at the end of the day. So with that, we'll take a break and look at fan interaction. We are back here on Brave the Wild, the final segment of this episode, fan interaction segment, and hopefully the funnest for a lot of you. Let's get to the Twitter account at Brave the Wild, as hashtag BTWMN, hashtag BTWMN. That way I can have it all organized, humanly possible. Comments, questions, interactions, this and that. I was mentioning that Kirill Kaprizov is on pace for 99 points. Ryan Hartman is on pace for 44 goals. And 72 points, pretty insane. And that went viral. Wow, I don't have a lot of stuff that goes viral. That went very viral. Holy crap, man. A lot of my stuff, it goes through maybe a few hundred, maybe 1,000 people. 21,000 plus impressions. Wow. That actually went very viral. Cool. Cool. I'm not sure if it helped the show any, but, it's an exciting stat that people were looking at and like, wow. Yeah. Yep, that was fun. I didn't even know that. It's like, okay, cool. It's like I didn't get any notifications. Maybe when it gets to a certain point, it just stops. I guess that's where like an actual celebrity or something, or like big name writer or something that gets 10,000 retweets or something. Like Kirill Kaprizov signs for 5 years, 9 million. Yeah, that kind of thing. Derek Felska says, got a question on your mind? Just tag your question and ask as many questions as you wish. Yeah, and please do. Please do out there, and tag it, hashtag BTWMN. Yep, that's what you do, and then it keeps it organized makes it easy, and I will not miss your comment, question, interaction. Crease and assist at Crease and Assist, Derek Felska. Yes, sir. Thank you so much for the share. And he asked a number of questions as well, and I really appreciate it. He says the Vancouver Canucks have hired Bruce Boudreau, and the Philadelphia Flyers have hired Mike Yeo as interim head coach. Should we let Jacques Lemaire, Todd Richards, and John Torchetti know so they can expect to step into any other NHL coaching vacancies? Pardon me, I'm starting to mumble. I apologize. Yes. Let them know. Jacques Lemaire, I know he hangs out in Toronto a bit. He hangs out in Florida a bit. But unfortunately, I don't think those jobs are available right now. They will coach the Florida Panthers, No, and I don't think Cooper's giving up in Tampa Bay anytime soon. Todd Richards is probably the worst of the bunch. I don't know. I just didn't feel any vibe from him whatsoever when he was coach of the Wild for 2 years. I was surprised when Chuck Fletcher made the move to fire him just 2 years into his coaching tenure, but I was like, good. Was Mike Yeo an upgrade? You be the judge on that one. I don't know. Yes, no. He was a slight upgrade. John Torchetti, I actually liked him quite a bit, though he was kind of more wide open, though. Like, not much balance, just kind of offense, but still cool guy, an awesome accent, very strong Boston kind of voice. There's a lot of Boston in hockey, isn't there? There's a lot, just like Tom Fitzgerald. Yeah, you got to check that out on Russo's Straight from the Source. Tom Fitzgerald. He was actually a finalist for the general manager job and lost out to Paul Benton. But I do believe Tom Fitzgerald would still be the general manager of the Wild today if the Wild made that decision. Who knows how that would have turned out. He's now the GM of the New Jersey Devils, so he turned out okay. Bottom line, he kind of hung around there and ultimately got the main job. Yep. But yeah, definitely. Hey, I mean, Jacques Lemaire, I don't think he's going to coach anymore. Todd Richards, assistant coach with the National Predators, if I remember correctly. And Torchetti's been kind of all over in juniors and such in Canada. Derek asked another one. The Toronto Maple Leafs' Jason Spezza also admitted he faked getting slashed to draw a late penalty against the Minnesota Wild. Should we issue suspensions for fakers before it becomes soccer on ice? Yes, that's bullcrap. And then he says, I see he got suspended for another hit, but still. Hashtag karma. Yep, hashtag karma. I think it should. I don't like how soccer does that. They're like laying on the ground and stuff. Luckily, the refs in soccer are like, whatever, when they see a guy laying there, but it's still dumb as hell. I think people just lay there like they tore an ACL or something. Sometimes I swear they're just kind of trying to maybe catch their breath, too, because I can't imagine being a soccer player with that field. Call me ignorant, call me stupid. Soccer fields are too damn big. That's what kind of makes it not very entertaining for me. It's too big. Like 99% of the game is just bum. The ball's just bouncing off two different players back and forth, like playing Pong with the two sticks like an inch apart, and the ball's just going. It's just that's how I see soccer. I don't know. Yep, you might as well just play Pong. Okay, you get the idea. Derek again, another one says, which Minnesota Wild prospect do you think will have the biggest impact at the upcoming 2021-22 Junior Championships, World Junior Championships? Marat Kuznetsov, Team Russia, Pavel Novak, Team Czech Republic, Jesper Wallstedt, Team Sweden, or Lambos Hunt O'Rourke, Team Canada, Is an interesting. I could see Kuznetsov standing out in a big way. That seems like his kind of thing. It does. It seems like his kind of thing, and he's been around a little teeny bit longer, even though he's very young, than the others. Novak, I think, is going to have a huge... Man, I think a lot of these guys are going to stand out. I think it's going to be Kuznetsov, though. Yeah, I'll stick with Kuznetsov. I could just imagine him having some huge highlight plays down the stretch. And he's played professional hockey already, and in the junior leagues, a number of these guys did play a little bit of professional hockey at the end of the day. So it's going to be super interesting how that turns out. But, I'm looking forward to that. I think it's Kuznetsov, though. He says, are there any other prospects from the last 3-4 drafts that you feel have kind of gone belly up and are bust now? If so, who and why? How dare you add who and why? I'm just kidding. Gone belly up from the last 3 or 4 drafts. Yeah, everything closed on me. Adam Beckman, damn it. No. I'm just kidding. But luckily, yep, this came up pretty quick. Tim Hench has been banged up a little bit, but no, I don't think he's gone belly up or anything. Lately, kind of DeWeer's certainly quieted down this season. No. Giroux. I don't know why I get those two guys mixed up. Connor Giroux has gone down a bit. He's only 4 points in 19 games. After a fairly solid season last year, showed promise, and he's a -9. I don't know what's going on with Connor Giroux. I think he's gone belly up a little bit lately. Just generally in that case. Just generally, he's not playing well in Iowa. So that would be the quote-unquote why in that case. Like, it seems like he's not as good lately. First off, it's hard to say what's going on with him. Boldy, obviously, he's had injuries. He's hurt again, but it's not as serious. The last 2 drafts, I can't say anybody. I think they look all pretty damn good so far, and some of them are too early to say, like Benoit and Masters, guys like that. Jasper Wallstedt, too early to say. Hovinoff has gone belly up a little bit so far. I expected him to be in the either dominating the AHL or in the NHL right now. And he's definitely gone belly up a bit lately. I don't know. 3 games, no points in the AHL, and he was doing decent in the ECHL. I hope he's not. I hope he's not another Dmitry Stolikov. It's just to Sokolov. Pardon me. He's been frustrating thus far. In 4 games in the KHL, Sokolov 1 goal. Una thus far, unfortunately for him. So pretty much, I would say Hovinoff, Hovinoff and Giroux have been disappointing thus far. Giroux, I don't know why I mixed him up with DeWeer. DeWeer's been very good. DeWeer could be at least a 4th or 3rd line player in the NHL, kind of like Brennan DeHame. But Giroux definitely has dropped off this year, unfortunately. Boudreas went belly up. Yeah, he's just kind of like floating around out there. He's 22 already, and he's in the ECHL. He's doing okay in the ECHL. Yay, the ECHL. So obviously not with the Wild system anymore. So they kind of gave up on him already. They didn't bring him back. Let's continue before I babble myself away. Derek Velskog again says Anaheim's Trevor Zegras pulled off a new version of the Michigan goal or lacrosse goal. Was that the most impressive play in the NHL in the last 5 years? I'd say it's definitely up there. It's pretty crazy at the end of the day. It's definitely way up there. I just had to kind of pull it up again. It's definitely way up there. It was it ended up being an assist, if I remember correctly. It's way at the top. Yeah, I would say it's either the most impressive or top 3 in the last 5 years. Behind the net, just lifting the puck over into the goalie. Basically, a spectacular play. No question about it. Bringer of Snow says, let's see what's going on. Derek Felska says, why does the Toronto Maple Leafs fan base whine more than the rest of the league? Could it be that they haven't done a damn thing since 1967? Yeah, it could be, and plus the fact that how they get the most attention pretty much in Canada at the same time. Bringer of Snow was replying to us saying, no, he didn't say that. He said the stick hit him across the nerve. Nice try, though. Yep, so it's like, yeah, they do whine a lot. No question about it, and I think it could be that they haven't done a thing since 67, yeah. They made it to the conference finals once in like the mid-90s, I think it was, but they didn't get there, unfortunately. Emin Johan says, how do the Minnesota Wild handle Captain Spurgeon coming back? Who comes out? I know there was a little reply there. Tom Hayen said either Ben, or Ben. Emin Johan says, I'd listen to thoughts of resting Merrill as well. And Morty says Ben. Probably Ben, unfortunately, Jordy Ben. It kind of is what it is. But it wouldn't be bad to rest Merrill maybe for a game or something, but depending on how Ben's been playing, pun intended, right? So most likely that's where they're going to head. Brian Herrera says, what player do you think can do the Macarena the best? Where did this come from? Marcus Foligno. No, I think of any of them, it's got to be Dumba, right? It's either Foligno or Dumba, since those two guys are kind of the energy guys on the team, and what was it? They led a dance party on the bus or something. That was Marcus Foligno. So it's one of those two. I think Dumba because he's like kind of a little younger, that kind of thing. I don't know, and he's super duper energetic. But it's got to be one of those two. Yep, thanks for adding a little humor there. Jay Bushy says, with the way the Minnesota Wild are playing now, it seems like the team has very good chemistry. If a trade opportunity for a rental center or a good center with term left as a GM, would you make a trade to try to upgrade or leave your team intact? It kind of depends on what they want to give up or what they want you to give up, that type of thing, because you don't want to rip the whole team apart. Obviously, there's good prospects in the system, and there's always a fear to give players up as well. At the same time, you can't count on prospects to translate to the National Hockey League all the time either. God, that's tough. It's really tough. It kind of depends on who it is, like Thomas Hertel. I trust Bill Guerin if he is to make a move for, say, a Thomas Hertel, that he wouldn't make the kind of move that would mess everything up. It would be like the Fiala Greenway type of move. I don't think Fiala or Greenway getting traded would kill the team. I don't. Greenway's well liked. Fiala is respected and a very, very talented guy who could score 40 goals in this league. Fiala could be a 40 goal scoring player. He's got that kind of talent. Absolutely. And I think he should score 40 goals, damn it. But, those are the kind of moves that would have to be, probably. I can't imagine giving up first-round picks or anything unless it's like a no-brainer type of a move. Like a healthy Jack Eichel, maybe. That would have been a no-brainer move. But it's like, you don't know with the neck injuries and such. That's always scary. And Vegas did give up a lot to get him, and we'll see. Maybe they'll end up being a champion at the end of the day, because they've been so damn close every year since their inauguration in the league. But I don't know, it seems like they're getting a little bit further and further away from being that team, though, unfortunately, now. The chemistry certainly hasn't been the same in Vegas, but, of course, when you have Mark Stone in the lineup, though, the chemistry's a lot better with him around for so many reasons. I went all over the place, but I don't see him tearing the locker room apart because things are so good right now, and you don't want to bring in somebody that, is going to change it too much. That's the thing. So it kind of depends. Derek Felska says, it's been reported that the city of Glendale, Arizona is thinking of locking the doors to the Arizona Coyotes for not paying its bills to use Gilta River Arena. Do you think it's time for the NHL to step in and just take the franchise back, move it to Quebec or Houston? Yeah, I think so. That's not a bad idea. I would love to see them in Quebec. Houston, it's like, I don't know. A lot of people think, we want hockey in Houston and this and that. Well, I guess so, if it doesn't work out in Quebec. But I would go with Quebec first, if possible. I want to see the Quebec Nordiques again, damn it. I have a winter hat, and I love that winter hat. I really do. I would love to see the Quebec Nordiques again. Of course, yeah, if they pull a Winnipeg Jets, like in when the Thrashers moved there or whatever, and completely changed everything, the logo and design, I'll be very disappointed, to be quite frank. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. Maybe a modernized version of the same scheme and everything, and they still have the same logo. Maybe if you want to pretty it up a tiny bit, but bring back the Quebec Nordiques. Quebec Nordiques all the way. Houston, well, I hope it's the Arrows then, because I like the airplanes and everything. I love airplanes, and you don't get a whole lot of that in sports these days. Only in like minor leagues and maybe some college and stuff like that. But I want to see airplanes if it's Houston. Go with those Houston Arrows or aeroplanes, that type of thing. Thank you so much, everyone, for the interactions. That was awesome. I think there's more notifications, but a lot of that's kind of on and on conversation, this and that. Boy, Tom Hand loves to say circle the wagons, doesn't he? He says get plenty of Amp, Monster, Kickstart, and Rondo so you can stay up to watch the Minnesota Wild circle the wagons against the Guppies tonight. Circle the wagons, circle the wagons, circle the wagons. Derek Felska shared Jolt, an image of Jolt. That is double the caffeine of the average pop, as we say in Minnesota. We call it pop. All of you like to say soda, but I say pop, damn it. Most Minnesotans do anyway. Thank you again for all the interactions. Gotta say that. Major shout out and very proud to be a part of MNW Prospects. Pavel Bennett, who founded it, out of the Czech Republic. Again, he's probably a big fan of Pavel Novak, and I'm not saying that just because he's from Czech Republic, but obviously he is a fan of his, and I'm sure he really enjoys covering the European players out there. Yeah, we cover all the Minnesota Wild prospects because there was always that hope that a star would emerge, and finally that guy did emerge, Kirill Kaprizov, big time. And there could be others emerging as well, Boldy and Rossi and beyond, like a Beckman and such. But Pavel Bennett covers the European part of it. Then you have Justin Bakke, who covers like the pros, and Brandon Quast, who keeps up with the college, and and some of the juniors. They mix in some of the juniors like OHL, WHL, and such. They kind of share those. And then I was covering the Q, the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, and the British Columbia Hockey League whenever the Wild have prospects there. Unfortunately, we don't have any prospects there at the moment, but when we do again, I'll be very happy to cover those guys again. So much fun, like Hovanov and such, and Nikita Nesterenko last year, respectively, and Sean Boudreas, who unfortunately is no longer with the organization, so to speak, in the grapevine. Shoutouts also to Minnesota Wild Global, Scott Cavendish, Chance Kostick, David Kostick, Kathy Main, Chad Walski, awesome guy, David Abraham, Michael Fick, absolutely love that page, and big fan of it in a lot of ways. Minnesota Wild Nation, Patrick Turner, awesome guy as well. Huge shoutouts to all of you. Please write a positive rating for Brave the Wild on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or Audible. Those of you that have, thank you so much, and those of you that could, thank you so much in advance if you could do that. Write a positive rating. Tell your friends about the show. You could also get on board if you want to interact with the show with your with the audio submission. You could use your voice on the show. All you do is open the free voice recording application on your smart device, press record, treat it like a phone call, just kind of talk, blah, blah, blah. You know, like obviously talk wild, comment about this, comment about that. You could talk about any number of topics. And then when you hit stop, save it, and then share it or email it to Paladinolive at yahoo.com, Paladinolive at yahoo.com. All this information will be in the show description. Do download the Vig It application. It is fantasy betting. It's a lot of fun. You don't use any money wagering whatsoever. You bet free coins and win real prizes. Highly recommended. If you want to join it, please make a referral to Paladinolive. That will be in the show description as one word. Also, if you want to get into cryptocurrency, I'll have a link on there as well in the show description, crypto.com. You mentioned me as a referral simply by clicking on that link and downloading the app. And when it asks for a referral, it has the little code, whatever. You just put that in there, and we both get $25. That would help this show in a great way. And you can get into cryptocurrency trading. Anything from Bitcoin down to Shiba, Dogecoin, Zombie Inu, which is extremely exciting out there as well. That actually isn't on crypto yet, but it will be someday. But Shiba, Doge, Elon, all these different possibilities. You can even PM me on Twitter, Facebook, places like that if you want to. Ask for any type of ideas, maybe what to get into and such. I'll be more than happy to at least give some suggestions at the very least. And the fees are extremely inexpensive. Let me tell you, extremely. It's a very tiny percentage. So oftentimes it's less than $1 per trade. So not bad at all. With that said, thank you everybody for listening to the show. Hopefully the Wild continue their great run. Stop staring at the standings and hope for the Stanley Cup instead. I'd rather finish 4th place and win the Stanley Cup at the end of the day. That's what matters 10 times more than any President's Trophy. With that said, take care and talk to you next week.